I'm Scott May, and joining us for this segment of North Central Journal is the Salvation Army envoy, Lynette Valentine, and a member of the Salvation Army Advisory Board, Dave MacDonald.
There you go.
I want to get that right. And we have a lot to discuss, but let's begin with the Salvation Army mission, Lynette.
The mission for the Salvation Army is pretty much taking care of a community and meeting the basic needs. And right now, pretty challenged. Our mission has been challenged just in the way where there's so much destitute and uncertainty right now. So we're going to keep doing what we do, taking care of this community and loving them through all of these challenges.
And Dave, we want to talk quickly about the job of the advisory board. You've been on the advisory board for a few years now. What is it that the advisory board does for the Salvation Army?
The advisory board, and it's a good question, Scott, is, and I have been on the advisory board for 12 years, and I was dock-haired when we started, just so you know. And I was really dock-haired before Lynette came to town. But the advisory board itself is exactly that. It's an advisory board to Lynette or the officers. They sign documents as far as purchasing, as far as expenses, but they also guide the Salvation Army, what's going on in the community. We in Fitchburg happen to have what we call a working advisory board. And a working advisory board is exactly that too. You know, we have people like Paul Garvin, who's at the core every day helping with the food distribution. Dan Cunningham, who's out there every day helping with the distribution. Carrie Bloom, who's working with Lynette now on our programs. So the advisory board is very important to do as much as they want or as little as they want. But we usually meet once a month. We usually don't do it during the summer. But we're there to help Lynette or the officers at the Salvation Army Corps. And I'm very proud to be an advisory board member. And I encourage people in the business field or just at home to come and join us too, if they feel like assisting us and guiding the Salvation Army through the community.
How many members on the advisory board, Dave?
Right now we have 7, and we're always looking for more. There is no limit on it. And we have a lot of volunteers who want to help us but don't want to be on the board. And we take that help as fine as anybody else. In fact, if you would like to do it, come down to one of our meetings, Scott. We'd be happy to have you because you have a lot of experience in this.
Well, thank you. Lynette, we were talking about the mission of the Salvation Army, and before we went on the air, we were discussing this year, the year of the pandemic, coronavirus, and how has that challenged the Salvation Army and its mission?
There's a lot of different challenges because we have so many different hats that we wear in the community. I have to say, first and foremost, the biggest challenge is the hunger insufficiency. Fitchburg, Leominster, Lunenburg are the towns that we serve, but when the pandemic hit, we were actually servicing the outskirts. We had the others like Shirley and Townsend. So our area broadened, and we worked very closely with the Worcester County Food Bank, and we were able to step up to a different class and pick up more food every week. So we're going to the pantry, and we roughly get 7,900 pounds of food a week. Wow. And it's gone by the time the next week comes. The advisory board, like with the volunteering, Salvation Army works a lot on volunteering. It's hard to say no to a volunteer, but one of the biggest challenges is keeping the work staff safe. People want to help, but we have to maintain and stay safe, so I can't let people in the building. We still don't have through traffic. And it's important because we have to be able to serve the community. So it's not that we're telling people we can't have you help pack boxes, but we don't have the space for the social distancing. So there's been a lot of challenges. Right now we're doing it through a pull-up pantry. And every day from 9 to 11, if you're in need of food, you can pull up, you honk your horn, the girls come out, the box is given to you. We do milk and eggs and butter and cheese at will when we have that. And toiletries, we've given out masks. The United Way has given us bags that were made by companies. And you know, it's teamwork, it's collaborating, and it's working, but the challenge is just on that one sector of volunteers has changed, and it's putting a little bit more work on us, the advisory board. But like I said, we're going to take care of the community at whatever cost.
And the drive-up food pantry location is your location on Water Street?
739 Water Street.
Which is right across the street from?
The K-Zone.
WPKZ Radio. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. In October, the Salvation Army Disaster Services Team, including the Fitchburg Corps, was called into action. So tell us a little bit. I saw the story online, and I wanted just to talk about this a little bit because this is another aspect of the Salvation Army that I'm sure folks are not aware of. So tell us about the disaster services team and what emergency you folks responded to in October.
I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna let Dave finish with this because he's part of that team.
Okay.
We got the phone call actually about 3:30 in the morning, and made aware that the Salvation Army was being deployed to, I believe it was Agawam, and I was like, okay. They put us on standby. Dave called me. We worked it out. We got our team together. We ended up preparing a meal for the evening for dinner. And I'll let Dave tell the story of what we saw and how it affected and impacted us.
Our EDS team consists of, again, through volunteers, but it's emergency disaster services. You'll probably see our canteen at a lot of locations when there's need. And a lot of people confuse our EDS for first responding or for whatever reason. We're usually there for whatever somebody needs. But we also look at it as if there's a fire, for example, we're there for not only support for the first responders, but for help the families. The families during a devastating time need help. They need a prayer. They need a hug. They need to know that everything's gonna be okay. This situation that we had up in Agawam last week was there was 150 firefighters putting out a dump fire. And I've never seen this in my entire life, and I've been doing a lot of these things, but it was in the top of, we're on top of the dump in Springfield, and you can see the MGM casino from where we were. But if you take a panoramic view, everything was on fire. I don't know how an underground fire could do this, but to make a long story short, all these people need to be fed. They need to be taken care of. They need refreshments. They need water. And it was a cold night that we were there. We served over 175 meals. We served over 5 cases of Gatorade. We served over, I think, 7 cases of water. We left a lot of food there for the next shift that came in at 1 o'clock in the morning. So what we do is provide assistance to the first responders. When an EDS unit goes out, it's usually there because it's in need of something from the first responders to the families. But our priority is also to serve the families first. So when we get on site, firefighters know to come up to us, but we also take care of the families.
And there were a number of other Salvation Army Corps that were there along with Fitchburg.
Right.
It wasn't
Yep.
just Fitchburg.
Oh, 7, I think that
7
were
of
there.
them, yeah.
There was, I believe, Greenfield, Pittsfield, Springfield, Athol, and Fitchburg.
Well, I mean, to give you an example, even nationally and locally, nationally, we've been called out to Florida a number of times where we would go. I went down myself for 2 weeks. But even that blast windstorm that we had recently and a few weeks ago, I got a phone call from the chief in Lunenburg that a tree fell through a person's house. So when I arrived, here's a family that within a second, the tree destroyed their house.
Yeah.
It was amazing to see. But at the Salvation Army, we assisted that family, got them a hotel, gave them some, got the Red Cross there to help with the family's needs. So it's things like that, Scott, that we do that make it rewarding for us too.
Beautiful. Well, I want to talk about what is coming up this holiday season. I know the Salvation Army is particularly busy this time of year. So let's talk about November, December timeframe, things that are going on, and let's talk about the Rescue Christmas campaign.
I would love to talk about Rescue Christmas. In July, a Christmas tree went up in our foyer at our office for Christmas in July, and that tree never came down. And it was at the despair part of everybody was tired, fatigued, the challenges of COVID really hit everybody hard. So what we tried to do was let's celebrate something and have joy and a little bit of peace through all this, through the pandemic. Well, then on a national level, the Salvation Army is known for Thanksgiving, taking care of people for Thanksgiving and Christmas. But with the pandemic and everything going on, businesses are shut down. Some businesses that normally help are bleeding, so you can't ask for help. Kettles are going to be down. The uncertainty of income, the 55% increase of people who used to give are now asking. The Salvation Army on a national level has come up with Rescue Christmas, and they rolled out an amazing blueprint of what they want to do to take care of the communities that we serve, not just locally, but nationwide. I just stumbled that. But anyway, so with that being said, Fitchburg Advisory Board and myself and the girls at work came up with Rescue Christmas theme. We're actually literally going to make a visual for Rescuing Christmas. That's the first part. That's going to take place November. Then we're going to roll it out through our Red Kettle campaign and our Tree of Lights. So we're thinking outside the box. We're trying to raise the money for our campaign. Normally our Red Kettle does that for us, but the uncertainty of where kettle stands can be, where they're going to be with the protocols, we're still working on that. So we're thinking outside the box, coming up with challenges, and business corporations maybe taking a jug or 2 jugs and challenging another business to fill the jug. We're doing a drive-by drop-off with the military, and we're going to have service units led by the EDS and our service units, city officials, military. Military will be stationed at several locations in the area between Fitchburg, Leominster, and Lunenburg on one certain day. And on that day, people can drop a toy off. And when we go by where the military station, the military vehicle will join the parade. They can't have standby people watching, but they can stay in their cars and actually see something that a town is coming together to help rescue Christmas. I think it's going to give a little bit of spark, something different, thinking outside the box, but we have a community to take care of, and we're not doing it just Salvation Army. It's a community pulling together to make that happen. So we're excited, very excited.
It sounds like a great challenge. And Dave, go ahead.
Also on that, it is exciting. It's exciting to be part of this and planning this. And as Lynette just said it, not only are we trying to rescue Christmas, we're also trying to let the public know that the 3 communities, Fitchburg, Leominster, and Lunenburg, all care. So when you see this parade go through your town, it's going to consist of Fitchburg, Leominster, and Lunenburg authorities. We're going to have Santa on the end in a fire truck waving to the children and hopefully passing out sealed wrapped candy canes.
We're working on that.
We're working on that. But what it's doing is letting people know that, hey, we need toys for these kids. Hey, we want to help these families. So, and it's always been my belief, anyways, as long as I've been doing here, that every child needs a toy on Christmas morning. But this year is different. This year, a child not only needs a toy, but they also know that it's going to be okay. It's going to be safe. They need love, and that's what I hope the professionals from the Lunenburg, Leominster, Fitchburg police and firefighters are going to show, is that they care about the kids, and they care about the families that are in need. So this is exciting, and as we could talk about for a couple hours, but I know you told us that we only have like 5 minutes. So anyways, there is a flyer, and I think we sent it to Ann when we appreciate you putting it onto your news as we go along. But it is exciting, and I hope people buy a toy. Go to one of the drop-off centers on that day from 8 to 12, drop the toy in the back of the military truck, say hi and thank you to a soldier that's going to be there doing this, and enjoy the day. But that's what our hope is. Get as many toys as we can.
The other thing that we're doing is you're going to see a lot of online kettles. We're going to be promoting where you can go online and you can make a donation and you can see it. But for 3 years now, we've done the Tree of Lights in with our Red Kettle campaign. And I just want to make a note that that tree is going to be outside our building. And as we are hitting our goal, which is very challenged right now, the tree will light up. So we're trying to think of other ways that people can do it without feeling, the protocols of touching, feeling, the interaction of money and everything. That's one of the biggest challenges. So if we use the codes on the kettle stands, they can put their phone up and they can make their donation. We're going to have them, they're going to be on the boards, on signs where you can just go up and make a donation. We're really trying hard to make this campaign a success this year, not just for Salvation Army, but for the community. Every dollar raised stays in the community. And right now the need is great. It's greater than ever. And we're challenged more than ever. So with that being said, Salvation Army's role and footprint here is to provide. And we're really desperate with this kettle campaign because the challenges are so great. Every aspect.
I wanted to ask you about that because it's been such an upside down year, such a challenging year for organizations like the Salvation Army across the board. Year to year, what has been probably the biggest change that you have seen, the biggest challenge that you have seen this year as opposed to past years when we're not in the middle of a pandemic?
Okay, not in the middle of a pandemic. Normally, around December, we start seeing an increase in our phone calls for people needing help with utilities and rent, okay? That normally happens just at a certain few months of the year where the heat goes on and the bills are high. That's a huge challenge because we've been helping with rent and utility since the pandemic. People have lost their jobs. A double income family has gone to a single income family. People are scared. And right now, the funding that we have for that has increased 155% on need. So this campaign that we're doing, that's where that money comes from. That's how we service the community. So the biggest challenge is the need is so great of collecting the money, but the need in the households is even greater. So we're working, this is just very important for us to get the word out to say, we do need the help so we can continue. And we are continuing, it's stretched right now on meeting the needs in these households.
Before we talk about how people can help the Salvation Army, I want to talk about the staff. I want you to talk about your staff because you can't do what you do without the people around you, the team effort. Tell us about your team.
Okay, we have a staff of 4 people. It's myself, Debbie Handhar, who she is the social worker, Maggie Ramos, she is the Bridging the Gap director, and then we have a clerical person, her name is Brendy, she helps out in the office, but she's also changed titles during this pandemic. She's going to pick up donations, dropping off, and that's another subject we can talk about, that we've added so many things to our workload, but we haven't added staff. Yeah. There's 4, but it doesn't stop there. We have an amazing working advisory board. Dave and his wife, they made 10,000 meals and delivered them every day to the homeless shelter on, wasn't that Walnut Street?
The COVID-19 shelter.
So Dave and Betty were amazing for that to make happen. Then there's Paul Govin and his wife Patty, and Dan Cunningham and his wife Sandy. Without the working board, it would have been very difficult for us to roll all of this out. So the importance of advisory board members and stuff like that, seeing things through, is what gets us through. But there really is myself and 4 other girls that are hired staff in our building.
It's been all hands on deck this year.
All hands on deck.
Yeah. You know, what Lynette was saying is absolutely true. And the other thing, if you go back just for a second about, we're looking for help. We know in this area a lot of other organizations are looking for help too. And nothing to be taken away from anybody. I mean, there's only so much pie you can have. But I want to make one thing clear from an advisory board member, is that if you have a family out there, and if you're watching this show and you need help, call us. We'll find a way. And one thing that we found over my 35 years working with the Salvation Army, we'll find a way. And it's going to be okay. But they have to let us know too.
Let's talk about how the communities can help. What can people do if they have the ability to do it to help the Salvation Army?
Right now, like I said, we're thinking outside the box, and I'm rolling out events. There's going to be a lot of events taking place. Businesses, I want to make it fun. Not say, hey, can you write us a check? We know things are difficult, but challenging another business to maybe I can do this, or we made more. Make it fun. Challenge another company to make a donation. That's going to help light the tree. All the donations that come in is going to help light our tree to hit our goal. The other thing is monetary donations are the best right now. People want to give food and stuff, but if we stop and we think, why are we in this need? We're in a pandemic. People want to clean out their cupboards. That's great, but we don't know where it's from. It's got to sit. We don't have anywhere to store it. So we go in Market Basket, Hanford's, we buy milk and eggs. That money that comes in, we're able to go and purchase it and take care of a local vendor. So we're trying really hard to utilize stability in funding. So donations right now is a great way to go because the money's going to be dispersed into the community.
The other thing is we have to follow what CDC guidelines laid out. We want to thank Steve Curry of Fitchburg Board of Health, who's been assisting us to do it right. And Lynette's right. I don't know how many times families would call and say, hey, I get extra groceries, can you come and get them? And we can't, at least not now. But we would welcome those with an open arm. But we do encourage families, if you want to give food, if you know a neighbor who needs it, give it to them. Say, here, happy holidays. So with the COVID-19, it has been challenging, and I give all the credit to Lynette, Debbie, Maggie, and Brendy for working that core every day, day in and day out. And trust me, don't think it's been easy. We've had arguments a lot. The stress is just tremendous on us because you want to make sure that we're doing it right. And I think we nailed it pretty good. And we are having fun with it, and I guess that's the name of the game as well.
Tell us how people can donate. Where do people go for information? What is a phone number or something online, email or something like that?
We do have our Facebook page, the Salvation Army Facebook page. It's Fitchburg Salvation Army. We will have an online kettle on that page. So if people want to make a donation, they can go online and make a donation online. If they want to write a check, they can write the check and send it to 739 Water Street. And if they want to make a cash donation, we will have, the kettles will be out. We're just unsure where they're going to be, but we're remaining hopeful. Mm-hmm. But you can always call in and find out where the kettles are if you're looking to make a donation, but you can drop cash off too. We have a kettle inside our building at the foyer in between the doors. We will have one set up there daily. People can come in and they can make a donation into the big super kettle.
Well, we want to thank you both. Dave, go ahead.
And one more thing, we also have a mailbox that we're setting up at the Salvation Army. So if you want to have a letter for Santa, if you want to drop it off, it'll be outside our building. And again, echoing what Lynette said, we're also going to be doing some boot drives. So you'll be seeing us at some intersections. Don't know yet where and how it's going to pan out, but we'll be out there. And again, God bless you guys for letting us have some moment here today.
Well, Lynette, Valentine, and Dave MacDonald, thank you both for being with us, and thank you for everything you do with the Salvation Army.
Thank you for what you do for the community. It's really refreshing to see that Fitchburg Access is really active and helping the community. And without your help, guys, people wouldn't get the word out. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts as well.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.